Hello everyone, welcome back to the Toy Corner. My name is Fett, and today is a Star Wars kind of day. Yes, the past few videos have been many Masters of the Universe, which was not a part of my childhood, and quite a few Ninja Turtles, which absolutely was a part of my childhood, but right in the middle, in the early teens up until, well, today, I have been a Star Wars fan. So how could I not keep adding Star Wars toys to the shelf? I want to add each and every one of these to the shelf. I just want to get my hands on these toys, so enough talking, let's open some toys. First up, we're going to be taking a look at Princess Leia Organa, hero of the Rebellion, the one without whom none of the heroes, Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, any of them could have accomplished anything. Let's be real, this is the hero of the first trilogy. But let's take a look at this box here. So this is a re-released figure. From what I understand, they did some work on her face, tooling, sculpting, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, I don't have the original one, but supposedly this is an update. It looks good to me. This is a part of their archive series. You can see it quite clearly says archive right there. And as such, the box is kind of plain. You just have the sort of black look with the black and white photo down here, which is, well, it's not a photo, I guess. It's artwork. It doesn't matter. Flip it around to the... On the back we also have the picture here, and of course the blurb, and still a whole lot of just sort of spacey black nothingness. Let's just go ahead and get Princess Leia opened up. And here's our Princess Leia out of the box. You can see that her outfit is cloth goods, and we can see a little bit of a leg-knee joint there, so she's got double-jointed. We're not going to go too far with that. I'm not going to be trying to remove this. I don't want to remove this. I think she looks best with it on. But if you were so inclined, it does look like the belt here. If we take a look here, it does look like it pops off. Yes, it comes unlatched fairly easily. The arms also have the typical double joint you would expect. The wrist has the regular articulation. Articulation-wise, she has everything you would expect her to have as a 6-inch Star Wars Black Series figure, just covered up by the nice cloth goods robe, which does have a hood that you can put up for the sort of mysterious robed figure look that she was going for, that they had her doing at the very beginning of Episode 4, which I am going to refer to as the first movie, because regardless of chronological timelines and all of that, it is the first movie. It's what started everything. I don't care that it's called Episode 4, it is the first movie. I'll be taking no arguments. She does come with 2 accessories, no interchangeable hands, but she does have the gun that she used in the opening of the first movie, and she does have a nice trigger finger sculpted into her hand, if you take a look there, which, it's just nice because when she holds the gun, it actually looks like she's holding the gun. There are some figures, such as He-Man here, who does not have that, and so he looks a little goofy holding the gun. But I mean, it's He-Man. He looks goofy holding the gun. Get out of here, He-Man. And then the other gun she comes with is the standard Stormtrooper-issued blaster rifle, so this Leia is perfect for if you are recreating the scenes from the opening on the Tantive 4, or if you are recreating the rescue scene when she takes over the rescue from Han and Luke and saves them both, taking this blaster and just going to town on the Stormtroopers. Or if you feel up to it, you can go dual wield and have her do some action star style shooting. I will say that the way that her neck joint works is a little bit weird. I don't know if it's a ball joint under here, but just this sort of cut in the back, in the front. The paint's odd and it just looks a little weird. Mostly though, her dress is covering that up, so it's not really a big deal. Just something I wanted to point out. But however you decide to pose the fearless Princess Leia, you cannot go wrong, and I am happy to add her, finally, to the toy shelf. Next up we have R2-D2, certainly not an unsung hero of the Rebellion. Everybody loves this little droid, at least as far as I know. This is how he appears in The Mandalorian, although since R2-D2 doesn't really have costume changes other than having some mud and junk and other things like that on him, it's just a base R2-D2, so it works for me. Maybe there are some little bits here and there that are different, but I am not an expert enough to know this. But as with all Black Series boxes, it's just kind of a black box. It's Black Series, black box, sort of makes sense. Have some artwork on the side that looks quite beautiful. Same artwork on the back, just a little closer up. and of course, the blurb, should you care to read it. If you can read it. I don't even know if you can read it. Enough looking at the box, let's open them up. And there we are, R2-D2 out of the box, ready to be displayed, or played, or however you would like to handle it. The detail on this figure is immaculate, and being in the 6-inch range, this is something that I expect, but, I mean, either way, it's always a pleasant surprise just to see the level of detail as we sort of turn this around. I realize I should probably buy a turntable, but I don't feel like it. Articulation-wise, I mean, what can you really expect from R2? He has, these legs can spin all the way around. He has, of course, the movable feet. They don't pivot at all, but they don't, I guess, really need to, because what action poses are you going to put R2-D2 in? Of course, his head can turn all the way around, as one would expect, and it does look like he has a third leg. I don't know how I'm going to get these panels and things open with my big old gorilla fingers. There we go. Oh, okay. Pull it all the way out, and there you have his 3-leg look, where he puts his center leg down and he can sort of zip and run around and have a good old time. And the biggest and most somewhat frustrating play feature for this R2 are all the panels he can open up. You can remove one up here on his dome, you can open both of these side panels, and of course these 2 front little things there come out and open up. If there is another one I'm missing, I will just be missing it, because these were difficult enough. I had to be very, very careful using a small electronic screwdriver to sort of pop them over. Maybe I should get a part separator. We'll see. Of course, these panels open up, so you can add a myriad of different attachments. There are 3 holes in each side, so you can actually have pretty much everything on at once, but you have his little scope here. You, of course, have the little welder, and the grippy arm. Remember, he tries to take Yoda's cane. It's pretty funny. Or, not the cane, the flashlight that Yoda stole. Remember your Star Wars, vet. Remember your Star Wars. And then, of course, he has his radar dish. He has his key hacking device. I'm not sure. I know he uses it to open doors. And this is another tool that he's used to sort of spark weld. I'm not sure what. I recognize this, but I don't quite remember how he used it. But at the end of the day, it is options, and as you should know by now, I love options. I think they did a great, even though it's difficult to get these doors open, I think they did a great job hiding these panels within the sculpt of the figure, so if you didn't know they were there, you really wouldn't see them. And maybe you would. I mean, it's a little bit obvious if you're comparing, say, this panel here to this panel here, but I certainly wouldn't have. I'm also glad they did a reissue for The Mandalorian for R2-D2, because if you were not aware, the R2-D2 that they had out before in this line, I don't know if there were several, the one that I knew about was just a little bit pricey. That being said, I am happy to add R2 to the toy shelf. Of course, I could not possibly put R2-D2 on my shelf without his counterpart, C-3PO. Once again, this is the Archive Collection, which means this is a re-release of a figure, which is great. I love that they do this. It means that if you have the original, you still have that value in the box that it's in the condition that it's in, but if you wanted that figure and you don't want to pay those collector's prices, you can get a nice Archive Collection figure instead. The box is the same deal, so we're not going to take much time looking at that. But here's the back if you'd like to see it. I do like that they include what the original figure looked like, and there, back in 2016. There's a blurb if you're able to read it. I'm not quite sure. I'm trying a new thing with my camera, and I'm not 100% sure. There was a lot of blurry pictures before. I'm sure if you watch my videos, you know, sometimes it goes out of focus, and I have such a small screen for reference, I sometimes don't notice. So I'm trying something new. But let's not worry about that. Let's not focus on that, and instead get C-3PO out of his packaging. Out of the box, we can see that this C-3PO is from A New Hope, the first movie. We can tell because of the silver legs, something that I never noticed as a kid. I didn't really notice until I got into collecting and seeing things that said, hey, he's got a silver leg. That means he's from the first movie. I do like the gold color that they gave him here. We'll take a quick look all the way around just to get a good look at all that detailing. He doesn't quite have the articulation of other figures in this line, but that makes sense. The C-3PO suit was sort of limited in how it could be moved anyway, so you still have a wide range of posing options for this figure, just not quite as many as you would with some other figures, but again, that makes sense. The stiffness actually adds to the realism of the figure. But going back to the gold, I do like this metallic sort of gold that they gave him. Do I wish that we could have had this in the super shiny VAC metal like 3PO was put out when I was a kid? Yes, absolutely. That would look amazing. But I'm happy to wave that away to get better articulation and not have it flake off. When you have a figure that's 5 or 6 points of articulation, not a big deal to have plastic, the VAC metal plastic that's not really meant to be moved around. But once you get into all these little joints, all this very, sort of this movement and the bending knees and the feet that can move all around, you really don't want to have too many points to break that anyway. So it wouldn't look as good. I think this was the right call. C-3PO, of course, cannot hold anything because he doesn't have any grippy hands. Those aren't included. He doesn't have any accessories. This is what you see, this is what you get, and I'm happy with it. So let's go ahead and get him onto the shelf. The last figure for today will be the Stormtrooper from Return of the Jedi. As you can see from the card we actually have this time, this is sort of emulating the toys, the original Star Wars Kenner toy line, one that I didn't grow up with. We might have had a few kicking around the house, I'm not entirely sure. I seem to remember 3PO, but they weren't my Star Wars figures. Mine were Power of the Force, but we'll get into that later. But as you can see, it has a picture from the movie because it's emulating what those old cards were. And of course you have the similar style card back, and this I guess would be a 5 back. I've recently learned what that means. At least I think I know what it means. Perhaps I'm wrong, but if you want to take a look and see any of the other figures in the Return of the Jedi line, here they are. And of course there's text down here if you want to try and read it. Of course, as nice as it looks, I will not be keeping it in the package because that's not what I do. I don't keep things in the packages. But there is one thing that I do with army builders, or one thing I can't do. You see, I can never buy just one. So we're not going to be looking at each of those figures individually. I just want to let you know that I have them because that's how this works. You follow along with everything that goes into my collection, even if it's copies of a figure. But that's enough waiting around now. Let's get you open, Stormtrooper. The intent there was to grab it, not throw it across the room, but I mean, it's a Stormtrooper. It'll be okay. And here's our Stormtrooper, who gets a little bit lost in my white background here, but they'll stick out enough. I've always really loved the design of the Stormtrooper. I'm not sure what it is about it, just the helmet, something about it. It just works. It's goofy and threatening, and it just seems to work really well. I love the white and the black. I don't know, everything about this, just whoever designed this costume, whoever came up with this outfit, I cannot give enough praise to, because I just absolutely love the Stormtrooper. Of course, the figure has all the articulation you come to expect from the Black Series figures, even though the shoulder bits here can make it a little bit difficult to get much range of movements. I mean, you can get good range in there, just be aware that this is sort of on its own little tab in the shoulder. I was surprised to find out that the armor piece here is a separate piece. It could have easily just been sculpted on. So that's interesting because it covers down here and it sort of adds to it. I don't know. It's a nice little detail that I didn't expect. But of course we have the elbows, the hands and everything. We have the trigger finger that I mentioned before. We have the leg articulation, to all of the fun articulation you would expect with the Stormtrooper, and of course this beautiful clean look. Speaking of the trigger finger, you'll actually see that both hands are in the trigger finger formation, so you can make your Stormtrooper either right-handed or left-handed, whichever you would prefer, and I like that. I like options. Options are always a good thing. I don't know how easy it will be to see, so I'll sort of try to get around there, but how this helmet works is there's actually a plain white head under this helmet, and this helmet is actually attached and glued on the top. So it's possible, perhaps, that I could pop this off the ball joint and perhaps put Luke's head on there, or Han's head, to kind of get the Han Solo or Luke Skywalker and Stormtrooper gear look. But I am a little bit worried because it's just a head attached to the helmet on the inside that if I were to pull and tug, it might detach, and then I would have to glue it in place, and it might look weird. So I don't know if I'm going to do that, but it does look like something you could do if you wanted, and I like that they have the head molded under there, because that does make the helmet look like it's the right size. The Stormtrooper helmets are oversized. They're meant to go over a human head, not be their own piece. So I do like that they actually have it sculpted that way. Just another little detail I wasn't expecting, but kudos to the design team. I love this. And the only accessory we get is their standard issue blaster rifle, which does not have the silver bit on it. Maybe that was something special with Leia's. Maybe it means I was incorrect about what it was, but either way, I really like having this figure. I like not having too many complications, yet still having options. Just good thing. Of course, I decided to make this Stormtrooper right-handed, but you could make it left-handed if you wanted to. I'll probably switch up right, left, when I open up the other three. Honestly, when it comes to the Return of the Jedi, I'm not even sure what other accessories they could have included with the Stormtrooper, because I don't think Stormtroopers do too much. I think it's mostly the Scout Troopers on Endor that do the fight. I need to go back, and it's been a good decade before I sat down and just really watched those films. Either way, I am happy to add the Stormtrooper to the toy shelf. Thankfully, I didn't throw them across the room this time. And there we are, 7 wonderful new toys to add to the toy shelf, even if, one of them is multiples, copies, it doesn't matter. Although, speaking of the Stormtrooper, one quick addendum, this hand, the left hand, is actually not really good at holding the rifle. It falls right out of there, and the right hand with the trigger finger is actually sculpted closer to the handle. So I thought that it would be interchangeable. You could position either one, but no, the Stormtroopers all are designed to hold the gun in their right hand and cradle it with their left. Just thought I would let you know. But with that, we bring another video to a close. I thank you so much for joining me. If you've been here just for this video, if it's your first one, if you've been here from the first video that I put out many, many years ago, or just started with me on my toy collecting journey, however you came here, I thank you so much for being here with me. And if you haven't done so already, let's just spread a little kindness together. Let's take social media back from all the toxicity. And in the meantime, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of each other, simply take care.